What's up, everybody? Nice cold ass California morning. I think it's probably in his 50s. I want to hear from all those people that are probably used to that saying you're a baby. Monday morning, happy holidays. So today we have a lot going on. Met with a contractor at my house already at 6 a.m. We're here at Hardcore Fitness San Marcos, meeting with some contractors, going over a lot of details. Met with fire suppression guys so we can satisfy city permits and obviously keep everybody safe. God forbid there's a fire. Gotta go back to the house, meet the contractor one more time, then go to Green Guard, and we're gonna deal with some apparel stuff that's going on, some good stuff, but we gotta address it, and then just get throughout the rest of the day. I have a meeting with a lawyer today at 1, another meeting at 2, so a very, very busy day, but it's all good stuff, so let's get going. What's up, everybody? How you doing? Good morning. We're here to meet a contractor again and get stuff going today, so let's do it. What's up, everybody? So just back here at the house, we did some real nice stuff here in the backyard, try to make it a little bit more enjoyable. So we're working on getting some more LED lights for the cabana here that'll beat to the music and all that fun stuff. So we're going to be refinishing this entire pool deck. We're putting some new coping on, as you can see right there. We did all of these market lights up top. We're having some issues with the lighting, with the pole lighting, all that working, so we got some new timers. So just a lot of coordination here, trying to get some stuff done before New Year's, and we're gonna have some people over. So had to get that coordinated. Now off to Green Guard to get some real business done.
All right.
This company here called Omni. Spoke to one of the owners this morning via text, and the sticker here. I told him I want to start printing all the stickers for him for nationwide, and he said to call him this afternoon, so see what happens. But I think it'll be a really good opportunity. So it's always just always hustling, always thinking of ways to try to generate more business and build more relationships. It's all about. So it's good shit. Yeah. So it's funny. Kevin behind the scenes here, which you guys see on occasion when I do behind the scenes filming, and I were talking about one of my pet peeves, which I think is a question one of our listeners asked me. And one of my biggest pet peeves is people not solving problems, right? My position is not the crutch in which people always just depend on solving problems. It's, I don't mind that being that person under the pretense that they've tried to solve the problem themselves, right? So, for example, we print stickers for my apparel business, for my service business. So, of course, one of our newer managers emails and says, "Hey, I need more stickers." I have to imagine if I asked the majority of the audience out there what's wrong with saying I want more stickers, a lot of you would probably say, "Okay, well, how many?" Right? Or which ones? He did specify the type you wanted, but he didn't specify the quantity, which seems to be very, very basic. So the point being is, I'm not just going to sit there and say, well, how many do you want? I'm going to say, what part of this is not clear? So I get him to start thinking a little bit more practically and a little bit, trying to solve a problem, even with something as basic as that. He responded, still not with the right question. So I just said, until you can give me the right information, I'm not going to be able to help you. I know it's probably very frustrating for him, but on the other hand, I'm not here to babysit basic questions like that. So the same thing is just, my suggestion for people out there is, if you have a problem and you have a superior, at least go to your superior saying, I've done this, this, and this to solve this problem. I still have failed, or still can't figure it out. What can I do? At that point, you've at least shown the aptitude to try to solve the problem versus just using the path of least resistance, which is what people like to do, and just resort to immediately going to their superior. So I think that there's a common theme with people, specifically subordinates or employees, where they're concerned about going to superiors or to people to solve problems because of the way it's going to look. And I think that's wrong under the basic assumption that at least you've tried to solve the problem, right? If you haven't, then yeah, I could see why your superior, somebody will look at you like, come on, well, why aren't you capable? But if you've clearly shown the effort and thought through the issues at hand and the effort to try to solve it, and then went to them, they're going to say, well, at that point, this person's at least tried, and so now I can educate them. But education should come after, again, your own efforts, not just because it's the easiest way to handle it. So that would be, I guess, one of my pet peeves, and I think some pretty strong advice for anybody out there when it comes to solving issues, which is why not to get off subject too much, but I think schooling is important, but it's purely only important to solve issues. It's not important relative to, to retention of information. Because I didn't retain very little in school, specifically because I had a generic business degree, right? But I think that if you can have those problem solving skills and that aptitude to try to figure the things like that out, it'll be it'll bring you a lot farther in life than relying on people to continuously to solve problems for you. So hopefully it helps. All right, so I'm going to do my weekly answering of questions. I appreciate everybody listening in. It means a lot to me, but I want to also help. So we posted a couple questions. We're going to talk about goals today a little bit. We're going to talk about some other things regarding partly with goals and consistency. So one of the questions I had was, how do you maintain consistency? What's the importance of consistency? What is it that? And it reminded me of a motivational speech I heard the other day from Eric Thomas. He had something with Barry Sanders, if people know who that is. Hall of Fame running back for the Detroit Lions, and he used the analogy that Barry Sanders would get maybe 10 yards the first quarter, 10 yards the second quarter, minus 18 the third quarter, and then all of a sudden have 180 yards rushing total, and that's unheard of if you're a football fan in any capacity. And the way that Barry Sanders said it was that he would just wear people down, and then the second they wore him down, he broke one loose for 70 yards, right? And so I think that same philosophy was pretty interesting, because I think it kind of applies to me too. Is that the consistency in which you need to focus on your goals, making sure that your goals aren't just important Monday through Friday and then they stop at 5 p.m. on Friday, which is I think where a big issue is with a lot of people. Would be it in being consistent, where you basically are going to break down your competition. You will simply work harder than everybody else, and you're going to be that person that's going to outlast everybody else. And so similar to Barry Sanders breaking a 70-yarder, I would challenge for myself, somebody that's going to sit there and outwork me, right? If that means texting somebody at 5 a.m. or 11 p.m. The guy that helps me with my Instagram is my advisor. He's very similar to that. I think that's why him and I get along. So good looking out, Mike. A little shout out for you, but it's one of those things where you just wear people down where they can't keep up with you, right? And so if you want to have that type of, it depends how bad you want it, right? There's another one I was listening to this morning where, and it was Gary Vee, I think, was giving somebody some advice, and I've said this to people a lot as well. I think it's a very common theme, but people say, well, how do you have the work-life balance, and how do you get your business to grow, right? And then when you want it to grow, how fast do you want it to grow? And I said, well, it depends on how much you're willing to give up. How where your pain threshold is, what's the price you want to pay. And so he had a couple of young guys on his vlog basically stating that, and he said, well, if you want to go see your friends and family every weekend, then don't expect your business to grow as quickly. There's nothing wrong with that, but just understand that you get what you put in is what you get out of it, right? And so if you want to take off weekends and you want to go party and all that stuff, cool, nothing wrong with that, but then don't expect more than what you're putting in. And so I think it's really important that consistency and the expectation that you have out of that consistency is they line up. If they don't line up, I don't think people. It's the same thing with going to the gym. I'm going to talk a little bit about it later today, but one of the things I haven't been consistent on, which is why I've gained about 15 pounds, is eating, right? So I can take my own advice. Everybody that does motivational speaking or vlogs or things like this, we're human too, right? And so I think some people tend to forget that. So I'm back on it today, and it's something where I just got to realize that I could probably enjoy myself, just not as much as I have been to the holidays. And so it's one of those things where you got to stay consistent and understand where your pain threshold. Mine hasn't been that strong from a diet standpoint. Luckily, I know very easily how to get back to where I need to be, but that same thing applies to the goals or anything else. So I would definitely consider that when you're considering how bad you really want something and where your pain threshold is, how much you're willing to really give up in your life. Should I quit my job and pursue my startup idea? This is one that we get all the time. I would say yes. For at a very basic level, yes, you should. There's going to be certain circumstances where you got to be smarter about it, more intelligent. Clearly, you're not going to quit your job with 3 kids, no money in the savings account, and no business plan, and no way to grow your business. I would say no to that. But for the majority of the people out there that maybe don't have as much responsibility, or don't have family, like I did when I started Green Guard. I had a girlfriend at the time, but I didn't have kids or anything. It was a lot easier. Did I want to leave a $250,000 a year job to make $30,000 a year? Fuck no. But you also know what it takes to that was my pain threshold was really high at that point. I was willing to go from making, $4,000 a week to, 500 or whatever it was, right? But the point being was I had the ability to do that. So for people that want to quit, yes, I would always empower people that want to be true entrepreneurs to do that. But I would also make sure that they understand how much they have to give up. Like that's kind of the story of today. What you willing to give up. You're willing to give up friends, parties, things that you're just not going to be able to do with a 9-to-5 job. Even if you're a salesperson working 12 hours a day, you're going to have to give up a lot, right? And if you want to own your own business, to have some form of savings, some form of money, it's going to be really hard to be successful if you open a business with no type of capital. It's going to grow. It's really going to be difficult. I did that, right? I mean, I had capital luckily because I had personal money, but I didn't want to dump everything into it because I was very young and I didn't realize what the potential was. So it grew very slowly the first 4 years because I didn't put money into it. And then make sure that your significant other or family or whoever has as clear of an expectation as possible on the fact that you will be gone and you will not. If you want it to work, it's going to be 24/7 nonstop for the first few years if you want it to truly be successful. And so those are the things where you should quit your job, but you have to have very clear understanding of how you're going to grow your business. Have people around you be supportive, understand it. We talked about having an exit strategy, not before day one, so you know what you want to do in the next 5-10 years, and then obviously have some type of backup with savings and all that. Almost anybody that has a job, unless it's a unique job, if you work at Geico, you're a nurse or a video guy, or you work at a print shop or whatever it may be, there's very few times where if you were to go and do an interview and saying, yeah, I tried to start my own thing, I did it for a year, it didn't work out, but I learned a ton, here's what I learned, blah, blah, blah. In an interview, you couldn't go get that same job back. Maybe not with the same company, but you could, right? And so that was my philosophy. When I decided to do it, I knew I could go get a job making quite a bit of money again in sales because I knew that if I was good in sales in one capacity, I was going to be good in sales anywhere I went. And that's not for the sake of trying to be arrogant. It's just that I had multiple sales jobs, and the reason I got to getting paid that much is because every single one I had been promoted or compensated at a higher level to get to move to where I was prior to making that big change. So I think the point being is that you got to have all that set in order to quit your job. But if you truly, truly want it, I think you don't want to be 50 or 60 years old and say, well, what if I would have done this? Because that's probably the worst feeling on the face of the planet. I don't even know how that would feel, but that would be the reason why I would say yes, you should consider that. All right, so what we went over today, a bunch of questions, but for the vlog today, we went and visited Hardcore San Marcos, dealt with some contracting things, some questions. Found out some deadlines, met with my contractor at my house because we're doing some stuff at my house for some parties and just getting things ready for that. We went and did our normal apparel quick meeting, which is a little bit longer than we wanted, but we're getting to that point where we have better understanding. And then we did some stuff with Green Guard, got the CRM set up, things like that. Answered a bunch of your guys' questions. Thanks for all the support. It truly means a lot to me. It really does. I'm not, the whole point of me doing this, as I've mentioned to you guys, is to give back and to really support people. It clearly isn't a money-making venture. It's more to help you guys, and I think and I really appreciate the amount of support and comments I get. And the rest of the day, which we won't capture on camera, is going to be meeting with a lawyer at 1, 2 o'clock meeting with my partner for Hardcore Fitness Vista and my general manager, and then some other meetings between 3 and 5 p.m. Hopefully get a good hour and a half workout in, and go see the beautiful wife and newborn baby Peyton, or Pepe as we call her. And that's it. So pretty good day. Very very successful and very focused. Priorities, people, and keep kicking ass.